morning, Diana. Hold on here. Hello,
Good
hello.
morning.
There we are. Good morning, good morning. Let me turn the volume.
You know what I just
Oh,
realized a
I'm
second ago?
sorry?
I just realized a second. Remember I told you I bought a black and white dress? Look, it's got a lily on it. I didn't even
Oh,
realize
yes.
that I bought it.
Is that right?
My lily mind files.
Isn't this whole thing is so surreal?
I know. Yeah,
Okay,
I had a
I just started to read the one that you sent today. So if you don't mind, we can go through that.
yeah, for sure. The others are pretty short. Oh, crap. Pretty short and sweet. Let
And
me
then the one with Jack was so telling as well. That
Yeah, and I keep wondering if that wasn't me there with him, but I was looking at it from the outside or
but
something. But
you
I
kept seeing his face.
Yeah, he was like lying on his side and had the child in front of him, maybe 4 years old, very small, like from his chest to his knees. That's a pretty small kid. And he leaned up on his elbow and went like this to me, like, what? You know? It's like, wow, okay. It's like he was daring me to challenge him or something. I don't know. And I had this slight idea that maybe I was jealous. I don't know. But it didn't really go any further than that. Oh, okay, so that's that. We'll close that out then. Um,
But when he was reading the Bible, you saw his face change.
yeah, that was really trippy because I kept looking in my mind's eye, like, what is going on with his face? And it was just like morphing.
Is that right?
Yeah, and I was like, and then I twigged on it like a half an hour later, like, oh, duh, he was probably, perfectly possessed or whatever. Alan used to call it that, perfectly possessed, when the host body is perfectly comfortable and content to have the demon. It's when, someone that's not happy to have it in there is when you wind up with all the craziness.
Oh, see, I like that description. I mean, I don't like
Yeah, he's
it,
he's
but
talked about it quite a few
yeah,
times.
yeah.
Yeah, he'll say that it's the perfectly possessed. He was talking about Malachi Martin, who was a Jesuit and wrote many books about how once Malachi Martin was in a library with some man and looked over, and he's like, you know how you can see things peripherally before you see them visually. And Malachi Martin noticed that that was not a human sitting there. And the thing looked up at him and down. And Malachi Martin was just talking about how he was just perfectly comfortable and content with his demon and doing his little thing, studying. And now, so I think Alan just said, they're just perfectly possessed. They've gotten to a level where they're fine with being in the background, letting the demon live the life because they get to have whatever they want.
Yeah.
Okay, so Jack, Geraldine, and Julie. Oh yeah, sitting with a book on his lap. He was in front of us teaching us something. He got angry. His face changed into something very ugly at first, because at first I thought he was just going like that, but it was more than that. Oh, and this was fascinating. Another image popped up of that dogman creature was drinking out of a bowl. And we were outside. It wasn't an inside, we were outside. And I think that's where the other image of the grass that I saw.
Oh, oh.
Yeah, except it wasn't really licking with its tongue like a dog would, but it was like that, just this one huge sucked it up with his mouth. And I was like, wow. And it's like this whole bowl of water just disappeared. It's like,
Oh,
yeah, I just saw that right now too. Whole
so
bowl.
it would suck it in his mouth and lean its head back to swallow it?
Yeah. Yeah, it would just suck it up and lift its head up and
Oh, I
be
gotcha.
ingested. Yeah. So I need to add that to my thing. Oh yeah, and he was reading out of the Bible. He'd intentionally shift into an evil-looking creature so we'd associate evil with the Bible. I thought, oh, okay, that's probably where my resistance to the Bible comes from.
Yeah. No, that's right.
He would scare us with it. He would talk about Jesus and then ever slowly show this evil face. And I remember just sitting there getting anxious. Yeah, demonic face. And then another image popped up. Julie was running and she happened to stop in that sand area, with those pylons. And she was looking around trying to find a place to conceal herself. And then she was like, oh shit, the dogs are coming. I might as well just keep going. So
That is interesting that all of a sudden for
yeah, all these just
memories are shifting
disjointed.
from one content to the next to the next.
Oh, wait. Well, yeah, I guess you started reading the next one. This one's just kind of all over the place. So corn. And now what happened was not the past couple days, but the 2 days before that, I have 4 handwritten journals and I got through 3 of them. What I would do is I'd read them and dictate them into my phone so that I could put them in the computer and then put them in my PowerPoint, under the parts pages so that their story would be more complete. When I was reading it, oh, geez, I didn't even send you that. I realized there's 2 parts in there. That at the time before I knew you, I didn't, I knew they were somebody, but I didn't know who they were. And I got to thinking about it. And one's name is Rebel. He was the one, the Booker used to lay in bed and pick his nose and wipe the wall and be all anxious and nervous and wait for Dad to come get him. Well, there was one night, remember I told you one night I snuck out of bed and I went to try to wake up Mom, and I discovered the tape recorder under her
Yeah.
bed.
Yeah.
Well, it dawned on me, I thought, well, how could Booker, this terrified, scared little dude, get out of bed? And I realized, oh my goodness, I shifted into another part. Just
Mhm.
I screwed up the courage to get up out of bed and go get Mom. And I remember Mary saying to me, and I have this written in the journal, that no, don't. You're not supposed to get out of bed. We're gonna get in trouble. And I was just like, screw it. And I got out of bed, and that's when I was shaking. And I realized that's a part. So that was rebel. And I was what, like 4 or something. So I had this
Wow.
little rebel. And I think I twigged on it because when I was going through your chart and filling in names, the rebel part, I forgot to put in my PowerPoint, that one I showed you with the cylinders.
Yeah.
So I popped that in there several days ago, and I think because I gave it existence, and I think one part was in there which I realized was wrong. It was rebel that needed to go in there.
Okay. Okay.
And so I was thinking throughout my life all the different rebellions I did, like the one with Chris saying, screw you, I'm going to do Ellen's work whether you like it or not.
That's right.
That kind of thing. So I was like, oh wow. Um, oh geez, what was the other one? It was kind of, I won't call it a small part, but it was a part like that. Oh, I can't remember.
But it is powerful to think how early on, the parts were trying to help you out. Trying,
Yeah, except I had no way to sort them or organize them or even identify them. They were just people talking.
yeah,
And I was like, okay, talk away. I don't need to know who, what, where, when, just talk. And I think that opened the door for all the rest to start talking. So,
it's also interesting and telling that there's corroboration right there as far as what was going on in the home when you remembered Mary saying, "Don't get out of bed, we'll get in trouble."
yeah, yeah. Well, and part of the memory too was that um Dad would come and get Angie and or Mary, one or the other or both, and take them out into the living room, have them do whatever little sexual thing. I'm thinking probably just give him a blowjob or something. And then he would take the one or the two back to, and he would play them off each other and make them compete or fight or whatever. Take them back here because we all shared the same bedroom. And then he would take me out, go downstairs into his torture business. See, because with them, he could get his little sexual energy out of the way. and then go downstairs and just focus on the MK Ultra stuff. So I twigged on that. I was like, oh, so it wasn't always sex and MK Ultra for me. Well, sometimes it was that and sometimes it wasn't because Angie and Mary were having their thing go on.
And to think that they are completely disconnected from all this right now.
Oblivious. Yeah, oblivious.
Wow.
I mean, at least Mary had those nightmares where she'd wake up grabbing her crotch. I mean, something was starting to surface, but then she called on her father-in-law's dead spirit to protect her. She's
Oh
using
no.
witchcraft to help her, suppress the memories.
Yeah. Yeah.
And hasn't had another memory since. I just twigged on that too. She was using witchcraft.
Yeah.
So, okay, guess we'll get to this. I'm sorry, my little person, the other one that I forget, but I'll run into him. Um, so I realized I don't remember my dental visit. I was watching Carrie Allahan on Emma's show last night. She had a new interview, and she was talking about how she went to the dentist and they wanted to put braces on her, but she refused. And how she was being, her cult parts were like, no, my cult people want my teeth like this. Because she has like an overbite or something. I was thinking, yeah, all the better to give blowjobs with, probably. It's what went through my head. But when she was talking about that, I started scratching my feet and my ankles. And I
Oh.
didn't even notice it until after it got worse, and only maybe 10 minutes. And I'm like, and I kept putting or after bite on it. So but it wouldn't stop itching. There was no bite there. And it took me like 15 minutes to realize, oh, duh, it's a body memory. So it's like,
Oh.
okay. And when I realized that, it kind of subsided, but it didn't really go away. And the memories came a couple hours later when I went to bed. So also, and so I'm like bouncing back and around here. So also, when I started working at 14 is when I switched to the promiscuous part and dropped my friend Christine. Now, when I started school in Iowa, I was 11. No, I think I had just turned 12, seventh grade, and she befriended me. And I was so grateful. I mean, I was nervous and scared for a few weeks, and then she befriended me. And she came from an old farm family, so wholesome and clean and all that. Um, but when I started working a couple of years later and I was out in the world, I kind of dropped her and started hanging out with a different crowd of people. And I always felt guilty that I just dropped her. So I started partying, smoking pot. I arranged for my first sexual encounter. I remember having this thought go through my head because my sisters were older and they had asked mom to go on the pill. And so mom took him to the doctor and got him the pill. I think mom thought, well, better, that they came to me and talked to me and we'll make sure you don't get pregnant kind of idea. And so that was kind of going through my head. And I kept thinking, well, I need to come up with some way to not be a virgin anymore. It's like I needed a cover story. So I
Mhm.
arranged something with my girlfriend that I worked with, and her brother was having a party. I went there and he, took my virginity, so to speak. And so after that, I remember feeling relieved that I didn't have to put that front up anymore, you
I
know.
got you.
Yeah. So it was to be in the, okay. And so another, disjoint, and I thought, oh, I was to be in the background in life, to be in I kept thinking about my jobs and my work. I was always happy to be in the background, not in the limelight, have a mediocre kind of life. I never aspired to anything more. And Nathan Reynolds talked about that for him. And I realized,
I
oh,
started to listen to a number of as I was under the red light, which sometimes that's not the best way to do it because then you
because
start to
you
lull off.
drowse. Yeah, you
But I'm going to
drowse.
go back. But I started to listen to the one.
Yeah, the only thing I just, and also yesterday I watched something else about a woman challenging the idea of calling Jesus Yeshua. And she went through the history of it, and he's no, nowhere in the Bible does it say Yeshua at all. And I thought, well, shit, Nathan Reynolds calls him Yeshua, and I really
Well,
was.
that's just the Hebrew name for Joshua.
I
And
know. I'll send you a link, and you can
yeah,
watch
I mean,
it.
I don't get, I just don't have a big,
Well, and so 3 days ago, I printed out one of the prayers on Nathan Reynolds' website,
yeah.
and I said it out loud, and I said Yeshua, and it was funny because that night I ran into that video that's saying don't use that word. So I was like,
Uh,
anyway. So
If you're Hebrew, that's what you're going to be saying. So
yeah, well, she explains the whole thing. It's like a deception as a
no,
way to
no, it's
erase the name Jesus. It's
no,
pretty convincing.
but it's
I'll send it
actually,
to
yeah.
you.
So I want
It's
just,
like 15 or 20 minutes. Yeah.
I want you to feel settled that it just doesn't matter, right? It's a
Yeah, God
translation
knows
from
who I'm
Hebrew to
talking
English. I
to.
mean,
Yeah.
so yeah, yeah.
So okay. But Nathan Reynolds was talking about his front personality was trained to be mediocre, average in this background, not to be a superstar, whatever. And I had the same thing. I was supposed to be a sexual lure and then an assassin. They programmed me to go into the military. So watch Carrie Elahe. I couldn't remember how to spell her last name. She got to the part where she was talking about braces. My feet started itching like crazy. And I said, now I recognize there's more to that dentist story. This is as I'm laying
Uh,
down. And then all of a sudden, John, my anus just started itching like crazy. I'm like, what the hell is that about?
wow.
So as I was thinking about that, I realized that I was electric shocked in that chair. I thought maybe it was the same type of thing as the military. They had me like the chair was electrocuted. Well, no. So I was made to take my pants off and they put electrodes in my vagina and anus. Now it was like, I don't know if you've ever seen those sex toys where it's like a little cylinder, maybe 2 inches long, inch wide. It was like a sex toy electrified to the nth degree. So they had, I was made to take my, and they put them in my vagina and anus, and I was electrocuted while Jack programmed me.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it went through my feet and my genitals, and I thought, and the minute I thought that, John, that whole area convulsed. Last night as I'm laying in bed, I was like, okay, well, this is real.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, and so I was kind of digesting that, and I thought, I remember when they told me to take my pants down and put those items inside me, I felt incredible despair and fear. I thought I was safe in Iowa. That's what Mom said, and I'll just combine those.
And Diana, I'm sorry, let me, so t give me the context again for this. So
Well,
who's,
I was like 14, and that's when that dentist pulled the tooth.
yeah,
I had a tooth that grew behind the front row,
yeah,
pulled that without painkiller.
unbelievable.
About 2 years later, I had braces.
So it's the same dentist.
Yeah,
We're talking the dentist.
yeah. Mom took me in to have my because at that point, I think after he did my tooth, Mom was able to pay that off. She took Angie for braces, and then the year later, Mary for braces, and then the year later, me. So it would have been 2 years later. So I was like 16 and a half or something.
So you're in a totally different
Town,
state, I mean, literal
different
state.
state in a town of 7,000 people where her parents live. Granted, her mom's a drunk and part of the Elks Club. So I don't know, I don't know why I brought that up right now, but maybe that's where she got the connection. Maybe grandma knew a dentist from her Elks Club.
Because I mean,
Or
what dentist?
dad
Yeah.
or dad and his parents put feelers around and had the dentist bump into my grandmother and or something, but somehow he knew us. He
Okay,
was
okay,
part
there
of
we
the
go.
thing.
Unbelievable.
Now I don't think that my mom's mom was in cahoots with my dad or
Yeah.
his parents at all, but I
Now,
think somehow they arranged a bump in meeting thing.
Okay, is this on your map? I'm sorry, is this on the timeline?
It is now.
Because that's super important because it
Oh,
shows then
here, I'll
that
show you.
you
I
have to,
added it this
oh,
morning.
there we go. Right, that
Remember,
they're,
this was all up here and without any of this business? Well, I'll tell you about the SRA shortly, but this is where I was remembering the dentist visit. He pulled my tooth and Jack popped in and did a little programming. And then 2 years later,
Jack stepped into the dental office?
yeah, yeah. And then Jack stepped in here with the electrodes. Well, he did electrodes both times, but I believe the first time it wasn't in my genitals, but the second time it certainly was.
So you guys got away from your dad at what age? Where was this?
I was 11 in Milwaukee. Mom moved us to Iowa, and
So
I finished
somehow that,
sixth grade there, started seventh grade in Iowa.
so somehow they were able to arrange.
They followed us. Dad knew where mom's mom lived, so all he would have to do is call the town mason there and say, look, my wife fucked me over and left me, or whatever his boohoo story was. And so they start coordinating things.
Yeah,
My
that's super important in your story then, because the one thing that will be labeled, and I referenced this on the last Unmasking the Trans Movement as far as the red flags. Um, the let's say psychotic or delusional disorder with paranoid features, right? So you have a client that feels like um, everything from symbolism to they're being followed to being right. And so now we're going to
was
label them with a psychotic
I
disorder.
thought I was untouched for all those years. And in the back of my mind, I kept thinking, why would they leave me alone? But I didn't have any memories, so I thought, oh, well, that's great. I had a break. Well, no, I didn't. I mean, I did in some ways, but not in others.
So they knew that your mother, I'm just trying to think, somehow they had to introduce the idea of this brand new dentist to your
I don't
mother.
know if he was brand new, but I think maybe when my mom's mom went to her Elks Club, maybe this dentist went there,
Yes.
rubbed elbows with her, got her to go to him.
Okay, so
Oh, Karen, this guy's great. You got to send the girls to him.
your maternal grandmother was part of the Elks Lodge.
Yes, yes, and she was a drunk.
And
She
so
was,
the Elks Lodge is connected to the Masons.
yeah, I guess, yeah, it's one of all those clubs
Is
are
that right?
Masonic, yeah. Club, the Elks, the Moose, the all of
Kiwanis. Yeah.
Alan used to talk about that in some of his shows. He says, you know how you go into town and you'll see that big board with
Yeah.
all the things on there, the elks and the moose and the this and the that. He said they're telling you right there who runs the town.
Oh, isn't that something? It all makes sense now.
Yeah. And so from that moment forward, I've always known, oh, all those clubs are, if they're not Masonic, they're something, but they're all connected because they're all happy to be on a board together.
Yeah.
It's right at the edge of as you enter town. So, I mean,
So I remember there was an Elks Lodge right at the corner of the street where we were when we first were raising our kids with my ex.
I think the Kiwanis for women. Yeah.
See, that's what I forget what we were going to do. We stopped in. It was just interesting to walk in, and I thought, well, this is stupid. It just looks like a lounge. What the heck's this all about? So
Yeah.
here I
It's like a
literally
little
walk in.
club.
I was going to ask him a question as far as maybe we're going to do a little bake sale for, I forget. But anyway, so we wanted to see if we could put a little stack of flyers out.
Wow.
So I
Yeah.
had never been inside, even though there it is on the corner all the time. Just so it was a new experience walking in, and I didn't know what to anticipate, but it was strange to see like a little lounge. So there's the bar, and there's the right.
It
Uh,
looks just like like I remember going into my grandma's. Yeah, I thought, or what did they call it? Oh, she also went to the VFW club.
okay, there it
I,
looks identical.
I think that is also Masonic.
Oh.
but they draw in the veterans and
See, and
keep
that's
them
interesting because
twigs.
that's the first thing that came to my mind was this is like a VFW. So
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
strange to me. Where was I going with this? Oh, then I don't know who I asked, and the best explanation. Oh, because I then asked, well, what's the difference with you got the Rotary, you got the. I started to ask these different
They're
clubs,
all connected.
but the explanation I was given was they have different emphasis,
Toastmasters, uh-huh.
right? And so one was it
Well,
Qantas?
like the elks, I know the elk and the moose and the other animal ones are come from ancient stuff because Alan used to talk about that they had different focuses.
Well, their front story then, the one, or was it okay, so one of them said, well, that's the different kind of thing or fundraising they do. So one is for optical,
Yeah.
and they always raise money for glasses. And I said, oh, okay, I guess, if you're an optometrist and you
Isn't
want
that nice? Always a charity front.
right? But isn't that interesting? So so that was the explanation of these different groups. So depending upon what your field of charity, what you
Or
feel
your
compelled to,
needs or wants or whatever. Yeah.
yeah. So
They
if you
cater to everybody.
oh, see that these
And
guys,
it's a filtering ground because they get members and like 90% of the members are oblivious and focus on the
yeah, that's
charity stuff and party together and drink together and all that.
but meanwhile they're being
Upper layer
yeah,
that
yeah,
knows what's going on. And it's a filtering ground. Alan used to talk about this, where they can test and vet people to
yeah.
see how evil they are and if they can pull them up. Alan didn't use the word evil, but they vet them and they pull them up.
See, that's exactly yeah.
And that's how it's networked across the world like that. Yeah.
So
So
let me ask you one more question then, Diana.
sure.
Okay, so we got the Masons, I'm sorry, no, the Elks, the Moose, the Kiwanis, the whatever. Oh
The
yeah, yeah.
Rotary Club, you got
There, okay, the
the
Rotary Club.
Toastmasters, you've got, Toastmasters for people who want to learn how to speak in public. Angie did that for a while.
So you think Toastmasters is connected to this?
Yeah. Oh, sure. Yeah.
Okay. So let's say they're filtering, right? They got their eye out. They see Mr. Smith here, and before you know it, Mr. Smith is getting more involved.
Mm-hmm.
Are they going to funnel them is the next step eventually get them involved in masonry?
Well, probably if it's not already Masonic rituals that they're doing. I mean, up to the third degree is just, they're just kind of, it's a club, it's a party for them. But I think once they want, if those people who are striving for more, they want to understand the mysteries, they want to go higher, and and particularly if they have a career or
Okay.
influence in the community, they will be targeted to, oh, come with me to this other thing. I don't really do this with anybody, but I like you. I think you've got something in you. And let's pull you over to this other side thing and then build them up there. And then that process happens again, and they keep raising them up. And at each different level, they go through rituals, and that ritual will show if they're willing to play ball or not. Are you willing to drink blood out of a human skull the size of a baby? Well, where'd you get this baby skull from? Would be the first question. And why do I have to drink blood? Would be the second. But if they're not at, and Alan talked about that too. He said, it's your ability to not ask questions, to just go along, that helps you along the way. He said that's the real key, is to not ask questions, to
That's an
try and figure it out.
that's
You
an
know,
interesting way that he were to phrase it, your ability to not ask questions.
right, right. And most people will be like, oh, well, you're going to give me all these perks if I do this ridiculous little thing, which you might think is ridiculous, but it's initiating you into a satanic level, and then the higher you go, the more they ask of you. And by the time you get to the, political levels or higher influence levels, you're already into pedophilia and sacrifice. Just my opinion on that. Alan never talked about sacrifice, but he did talk about pedophilia a lot. But he talked about it in terms of civilian stuff, not so much satanic stuff. But I believe he was, it's like was a read between the lines, because when I go back and re-listen to stuff now to make a video, I go, oh, he knew, he just wasn't saying. Because now I know and I can hear it when he's talking.
Why do you think he didn't say it more clearly?
I think because it would freak people out. If he would have brought that up, I might have blown off the lines. My parts might have just blown off the lines and not continued. Do you know what I'm saying? And how many people out there at SRA, I think Nathan said in that one that I sent you, he said that there are 10 to 30,000 sleeper cells, which I would be a sleeper cell in just this region alone. And guy said, what region? He said, oh, from the Mississippi east. So I thought, okay, we'll double that for the whole USA. So 20 to 60,000 people. We have 350,000. So that's like 20% of the population. So if that's just in the United States, extrapolate that worldwide. And so Alan's realizing, well, I want them to wake up, but I don't want to blow them off. I don't want to trigger their programming. I think he did it specifically to not trigger programming to blow off the lines. Because that's what happened with me, is I understood the world, and it wasn't until after he died, I finished the transcripts, that my mind started resting, that the SRA popped up. But I think it was because Alan primed me to go, oh, well, if there's all this evil in the world, oh, okay, I guess I can confront the evil that was in my life. But he would always say, you have to get there yourself. So I think he didn't want to provide the answer for someone like me, or anybody out there with trauma or whatever. I think he was just saying, look, here's the world, look at it. He didn't say the word evil a lot, but time to time he would say that word, but I think it was to not, so that it would not blow off non-Christians. I think he wanted everyone to hear it. And also everyone that had trauma base to not get triggered and have their programming shut down. I think it was just say, look, here's the world. You decide what it is. And he would always say, you can only get to the next level yourself. So I think he was priming. On his website, he has a thing on there about his books. And as a header of it, he says, a course in deprogramming.
Oh, does he really?
Yeah, that's exactly what it says. And then another section says, let's start taking off the shackles. And you'll see that at the beginning of all my videos, I put that before, as the video starts, I'll put a little red thing said, let's start taking off the shackles, ... And then I go into the topic. But yeah, I'll show it to you. His
Well,
website's a little, I don't want to say chaotic, but someone described it once after he was dead, and I just burst out laughing because it's kind of true. So it looks like a box of crayons blew up.
all right.
Yeah, look at it. So yeah, Alan Watt, a course in deprogramming right there. And then let's start taking off the shackles. And then, he goes into his books right there. But yeah, so it's not super
I've
professional.
never been on his site.
Well, this is like was built 25 years ago. So that was just he never had money to upgrade it. Melissa doesn't have money to upgrade it. And she's in a legal battle for for the intellectual property and all
That's
that.
pathetic. Yeah, yeah.
I know. Yeah. So all right, so get back to this.
Okay, here we go.
So my genitals had I mean, it was a huge convulsion. I was like, wow. I mean, my body didn't rock, but my internal area did. I was like, holy crap. Um, okay, and then Carrie was talking about how they like to have cult members that are vets. And then I remembered, yeah, and Nathan talked about dentists because they have access to all sorts of medical and pharmaceutical things. I suspect at the Masonic Lodge when I was a little girl that a lot of those tables and things were from a veterinarian's office. I know for certain that they were from a cult member who was a veterinarian or a dentist. I'm
Yeah.
not sure, but I think it was a vet. Also, when Jonah was at Camp David, he was in a veterinarian barn near where the horses were housed. I laid down and I said my prayers and I said, okay, parts, all. And this is what came out. Usually I'll take a walk around Lake City and interact with everyone, but not last night. It was just bam. So I also remember when Shiloh, she was the sick one, was in her coma when I was about 3 or 4 recovering. She would sit and rock, and I was off school for a couple
Was
of weeks.
that after the barn incident?
I believe so, yeah. Yeah, she would suck her thumb and rock, I reverted because I shouldn't have been doing that at that time. She reverted back to sucking her thumb almost violently. She would sit on the floor with a pillow in front of her like this for days. Took a long time to
I
come
mean,
out.
how your mother, right? It's one of those things, how she didn't see this whole thing.
I know.
Wow.
I said, and that's what caused my front teeth to become crooked, John. When I do this right now, my teeth perfectly fit around that bone in my thumb.
Yeah.
That's why they're crooked. I've always known that, but I didn't know how, when, what, where, why. I said, right, yeah, right now I can put my thumb in my mouth if it's perfect in my teeth. I've known this, but I didn't know what happened to form them. I do now. I also know why. When I was in the army and I did not wear my retainer, that was rebel, the rebellious side of me pushing back against having straight teeth. Rebel wanted that physical reminder. And that's why I'm pretty sure that's why I've never, obsessively needed to have braces. It's crossed my mind from time to time, but he's like, no, that's our mark.
Is
Uh,
that right?
yeah, not our mark, but just that's every
Yeah.
time you look in the mirror, that you'll know. So
Wow.
that he did that on purpose. So another memory, Jack arranged for that 21-year-old man. So now I'm in high school. I'm like 17. Remember, and I hooked up with a guy and stayed at his house for a couple days. Well,
Yeah.
Jack arranged that to invite me to his house so that he could go and program me there. Again, I thought I was hiding from him by hooking up with this random person. It was all set up to begin with. That was when I disappeared for 2 days. My mom sent my sister out looking for me. They never did find me. I just went home when I was done. It was shortly after that, my senior year of high school,
So
that
you're gone then for 3 days. Your mother doesn't call the police or anything?
I don't know. I think she said she was close to. She had Mary out looking for me. If you talk to Mary right now, she goes into a big, she'll still to this day, oh my God, do you remember when I had to come looking for you? And I'm like, because we were in Iowa. I think mom thought, well, it's Iowa. What could happen here in a town of 7,000 people?
I mean, you would have thought then all the more that if a kid
Well,
goes
and I
missing,
was
well,
working. I was working in a restaurant. I had started working at 14 and a half. It was just, I didn't come home for a couple of days. And I thought it was because I was being clever and hiding from Jack. Well, no, he sent that guy in to seduce me and entice me to his house. And I just wound up being there a couple of days, thinking I was hiding out. Shortly after that, my senior year, that when a military recruiter was at school, I was drawn to it. It was shortly after that that Rebel and Ivy is IQ, sabotaged the Air Force thing. I thought it was Ivy and Tabitha, the teacher's pet, but teacher's pet is no. She was just all about pleasing the authority in school and getting that positive reinforcement. They're telling me it's just too bad that I went into the army. I think I was slated to be a seductress of some sort in whatever arena so that I could spy on, and if necessary, and assassinate whoever I was assigned to. Otherwise, I was to stay under the radar in inconspicuous jobs. After mom left and disjointed again, so after it's like these 5 or 10 parts are just piping in.
Yeah, yeah.
And they would let each other speak. Oh, okay, well, now it's my turn. Oh, okay, now it's my turn.
Huh.
So after mom left the dentist room, Jack would come in. He would tell me to take down my pants and hand me a double smallish dildo that had wires attached to it. He just looked at me and said, "You know what to do with these." Which I thought, okay, it probably happened before, which probably maybe when I had that tooth pulled. He told me which one to put in the front and which one in the back. I took them and obeyed. Then I sat down and they attached more to my feet. It was a wired cloth strap that went around the top and the soles of my feet. Then I would get shocked while Jack reinstalled his programming. It was that triple wall programming, Yuri, Sean, and Bert, all that.
Yeah,
Plus my future path. I think he was reinstilling something that he had started back in the day, but couldn't finish it because mom left dad.
yeah.
He was pissed off that I sabotaged his Air Force plan. Now, this wasn't at the same time, but I realized that at some point I knew he wanted me in the Air Force, but my parts sabotaged that and I went into the Army. It also explains why the last year in El Paso, they reprogrammed me more to get me to stay in. My parts got me through the torture, but it was Rebel that sabotaged that plan and said no. So I have the part inside of me, Yuri, that sabotages the front person and what I want to do. But I have a part that sabotages the cult stuff. And that's who Rebel is. He sabotages their plans. So it's like they're in a battle with each other. And I thought it was fascinating that he showed himself all those months ago before I met you. And I didn't know who he was until after Yuri, Bert, and Sean revealed themselves. Because
So,
that's,
so how is he feeling about you and I working together? I would,
oh,
yeah,
he's thrilled. He's
I was
thrilled.
going to say that's interesting that he,
Yeah.
because he
Because
preserved life many times then.
he did. He did. Yes. Yeah, that was his purpose. He was trying to run and go get mom because I want you to stop dad. Stop this. But he couldn't wait
Let me
around.
also,
But he stopped relying on one. He was also the one I think that birthed Pearl, who, sabotaged my parents' relationship. So mom divorced him.
yep.
So I think Pearl split off from Rebel now that we're talking.
Yep, now that makes sense. Now, um,
Because I knew I couldn't count just on directly telling mom. It didn't work.
I'm trying to keep up with the name changes. Those are all
I
good,
know, I
right?
know.
But just so bear with me just for a moment. I mean, these are all
I know,
good.
I keep my list in front of me.
Okay, so Spirit is now who?
Spirit's the same. Spirit
Okay,
never changed because I
so
like that name and I like her and we're
okay,
good.
there you go.
Because I
So
perceive her as the spirit of Jesus inside
there
of
you
me.
go. So do Rebel and Spirit know one another?
The second you asked that, I realized Rebel's is split off of Spirit.
I
So
was going to say they're
Spirit,
connected.
then Rebel, then Pearl,
Yeah.
and then Alan.
So Rebel has been your guardian angel in a
That
way.
was the other part. Oh my goodness. I had a spirit guide named Joseph that I forgot about. But he's like a spirit guide. I'm not sure if he's good or bad right now.
Well,
But
if it's on
he
the
was from the
inside,
New Age. He was from the New Age. So I think that he guided me into the Buddhism and all that stuff.
and
And
it may
I
have been,
left it.
well,
He still
you
hung
know,
out with me
well, you don't
until,
have any demonic stuff inside you, right? I mean, the Lord's got you.
yeah,
So
yeah.
my guess is that was another part trying its best to guide you away from it. Because I inadvertently, okay, this is interesting timing. Just last night, it was as I was going to lay under the red light. Okay, so I've got the Nathan thing I was starting to listen to, and then Anton LaVey's daughter apparently has left, and so she was even interviewed by Jordan Peterson, but she starts bringing
I
up Buddhism.
watched that, John,
Okay,
4 days ago, 2 hour interview. I can't believe we both watched the same
okay,
thing.
isn't that interesting? So, and Carrie Alahe started to regain her sense of spirituality through Buddhism. So it's very interesting. So I'm seeing this like Buddhism then is that middle ground. They go from this very radical, violent, self-centered thing to, which means they haven't lost their soul, so to speak.
Yeah,
It's
it's just calm,
so I
sweet,
wonder if Joseph
lovely.
was doing kind of that same thing, that trying to find something
Because
spiritual.
Joseph disappeared when I met Chris. And it's funny because then, what, 9 months or a year later, his son entered our life, and his son's name is Joseph.
Now, what do you mean Joseph left your life or left you?
The spirit guide, the New Age spirit guide. And I
Oh,
realized,
so you think he's an actual, Joseph was an actual spirit guide?
or a part that Star, the woman that owned the crystal shop, instilled into me. Because I remember her talking about, oh, you need a spirit guide. You need to
Oh,
change
then maybe
your
that
name.
was it. Maybe so. Well, what does Rebel sense right now about Joseph? Was Joseph a
Joseph, I think, was to lead me into back into the cult. And the irony is, let me show you this
no?
picture
I'm sorry, but Rebel. So, what does Rebel sense about Joseph?
that Joseph was to lead me back into the cult.
Okay, then that would have been a demonic entity.
I guess so, or the part inside me that, you know,
Or okay. So
loyal
that'll
to the
be
cult
interesting
or
to
whatever.
that'll be interesting because you either have a part or you got a demonic entity
It
on the
might
outside.
have been because I had also, after I left Star and wound up in my own apartment alone, and then even after I kicked her out, I was doing things and seeing things that
Yeah.
were technically witchcraft.
Yeah,
Now
and
with
when I
that.
just phrased it, I was thinking just generally speaking, conceptually, a Christian doesn't have any demonic stuff on the inside.
Right, right. But
So
yeah, I
that
think that he guided me in certain directions. I think he kept my eye on the New Age and moved it into Buddhism. And then that guy raped me, and I was like, okay, I'm done with that. But I did
okay,
Buddhism.
okay.
I did Buddhism by myself, the chanting and all that, because that one guy raped me. I thought, well, I'm not going to your church anymore.
But
Even that
it's
rebel,
interesting as you just said, what's
that
the
was
likelihood?
rebel. Rebel
But
always would pull me out just at the
there
right
you go.
time.
But as you just said, what's the likelihood that we're independent of one another? All of a sudden, I'm
I
listening to the thing
saw
on
that.
LeVay's daughter, and you're watching that.
It
So
just popped up into my feed. I
yeah,
was like, I think I maybe was looking for Anton LaVey or something. Oh, that just trips me out, John.
that's
God
confirmation.
wanted us both to know.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she's all into that, and I'm thinking, well, then you're still a witch, basically, and you're touting this stuff and you're kind of softballing the Satanist stuff. And oh no, we don't sacrifice people. And I was fighting against the sacrifice of animals. I was like,
Oh yeah. Oh, is that what she was saying? See, I didn't watch the whole thing.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
because she
I
did
was like,
reference animals. I started
and
to
how
just kind
she
of
loved,
fast
and
forward.
that was her break with the Satanic Church because she started advocating against the cruelty of animals, and they were challenging her, saying, "Well, isn't that what your people do?" And so that was her split. Her split with Satanism, and then she found Buddhism years later. Yeah, it was about the cruelty to animals. I'm like, please.
Wow.
I mean, maybe that was true, maybe not, but I just thought, really, I'm sure that you saw humans sacrificed and drank blood and ate human flesh, because I did.
Yeah.
And you're the daughter of this guy. Come
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
So I thought it was kind of a whitewash, but I watched the whole thing. I thought, all right,
But what
let's
do
see.
you think she's trying to do then?
I think
What's her?
just softball Satanism and the Church of Satan, just softball it so people wouldn't think it's so awful. And oh,
Oh, okay. So you don't think she's made a break from it?
maybe she did, because she wound up being the PR person for the church after her mom took off. And she said she didn't really want to do it, but she stepped in because it needed to be done. She didn't get paid for it. So I think her dad was screwing her over in that way. And at some point she got pregnant and had to support her children and whatever. So I think she was just like, you know what? Enough. My cover story is going to be about animals. Let me just softball this whole thing. You know,
Uh, okay. Okay. That
you
makes sense.
know. That was just the vibe I got.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I'm kind of blown away. I'm realizing how much Rebel was a part of my life. It's
Mhm.
like the cult would pull me back in and he would get to a point and say, "No, I'm done," and try to start again. And then I said that's also why I glommed onto different guys who would move so much over 10 years, because it was usually following some guy somewhere. And I believe I moved 10 times in 3 different states over 10 years. Not once every year, but I think I moved 3 times in one year. And after a couple of years, I moved again. And it was just, I was always trying to get away. So that's funny that those two would be together right next to
Mhm.
each other.
Mhm.
I said, the dentist put one of those things that you bite down in my mouth, and it was a dental tool, those soft things that you bite into so they can make a mold of your teeth,
Yeah.
something along those lines. While they were electrocuting me so that I would not hurt my teeth.
Oh
How
gosh.
nice of you. But I remember my jaw clamping up and my head convulsing backwards. I have some pain in the back of my neck right now. My jaw is a little sore too. That went away shortly after. The dentist would always tell me that I'm a brave girl. Her first name was Brave, and now it's Bella. So Bella finally told me the rest of the story. This went on every time I had my braces adjusted. So I'm thinking that would be a monthly or bi-monthly for like a year and a half.
Did
Because,
they ever hook up the electricity to your braces? I mean, how could they resist that? They're that evil.
oh my God, I didn't even think of that, John. I've got great teeth though, so I don't know. But
I,
maybe they did because I covered my mouth right away.
I mean, I'm just thinking if they're that evil, now we've got
Yeah,
actual
why not? You
wires.
got metal in my mouth. Oh, maybe that's why my jaw, maybe it was like a low voltage something or other. Yeah. Yeah. You know what? I believe they did.
I mean, how could they resist it? Now it's metal on metal
A low
freaks.
voltage.
He said, yeah, because I'm thinking like you could have those little alligator clamp things, and this is just
Oh, yeah, it's sick. These are sick people. So when Jack would enter the dentist room, I looked at him and he would say, "You know who I am, yes?" I would nod and switch and obey his instructions. He also said to me that he also said that to me at that kegger party. Remember I told you a guy came up to me and showed me a picture of me, but he said it was as somebody else that looked just like me in another town. Well, it was me. And later you'll discover why.
so at that part, I remember you referencing. So you're at this party, he comes up.
Yeah, it's like this 40, 50-ish old, old guy. I'm thinking, what are you here at this kegger for teens and early 20s for? But, there were a few adults, and
So
he pulls this Polaroid out of his pocket and he says, you look just like this girl. And I remember, and he pulls it out and he goes, and I was shocked at how much it looked like me, but I believed him because my front personality was that go, oh my God, I've got a twin somewhere else. I didn't think twin, but we looked very similar, although I was in a different part. So my facial features and my clothing and my hair was different. So I'm not sure if I went out and did jobs for him there.
So that was the big test. He walks into
I think
this
so.
party of teens, walks up to you and flashes a picture of you.
And it was after that that I think Rebel realized, oh shit, we need to go hide. And some
Yeah.
21-year-old guy comes up to me, flirts with me, and I'm thinking, oh, I'll go hide out at his house. Well, Jack had that arranged. So, because Jack must have realized there was a rebel part. So that was me during the SRA at Christine's father's barn. So I'm remembering SRA now. That was the trigger that led me to that guy where I thought I was disappearing for 2 days. I thought it was all my idea. So I added this morning. So in the dentist's office, the shocks in the programming would begin mild to moderate unless I was not cooperating like he wanted, then he would turn it up to high. It was when it was high that I would convulse, so I began to comply more and more quickly. And now Violet's piping in here, the girl that makes videos, said I made 3 videos in the past 2 days and I was experiencing quite a bit of anxiety. 2 of them on Aleister Crowley and one on Anton LaVey. I realized that I smoked a lot more and was having massive anxiety. I remember sitting at my desk just feeling
And
anxious
when was this?
2 days ago. So
Okay.
it was Wednesday. It was from the images of the video I selected. I made myself go beat Ted 3 different times that first day. That was Aleister Crowley. And then Chris was here yesterday and I did one on Anton LaVey. And had a little anxiety because Chris was here and I knew if he looked at the videos I was looking at, he would disapprove because they're satanic in nature, just the images. And I don't even listen to the audio. I just look at a video's images and say, well, would that complement what I'm doing? And if it does, I'll download it and use it. I
Yeah,
don't
no,
really
that's
listen
exactly
to
right.
it. So I just smoked a lot the second day because Chris was here. But I did connect smoking with anxiety. That's the first time. I always thought smoking was about communicating the parts, but it's about anxiety. It is a distraction from feeling anxiety. I started smoking right around that time.
Yeah.
I happened to be at work and the other girls were smoking. Now, I'd been working there a couple of years already, working my way up. I asked if I could have a puff, and I never looked back. I just continued smoking for most of my life. The braces and the cigarettes and the programming, because Jack gave me cigarettes as a kid. And I've been wondering right now if it was really cigarettes back then or if it was candy. And I just inserted a cigarette so that I could have a way to try to quit smoking or blame it on parts or whatever, because I think my dad did do that with my mom, put stuff in her cigarettes.
Yeah.
But why would they have it? Candy's so much easier, right?
Well, I'm sure they
Well,
could have stuff in candy.
yeah, so I'm thinking maybe I did an analytical overlay and put a cigarette on top of the candy in the same way I put a cat on top of a human baby that I sacrificed.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
easier to confront. But I think it was Nathan, it could have been other people too, talked about that they were given candy and the drug was in the candy.
Yeah. Now, Diana, you did you reference, I think you may have referenced before, Kenneth Anger.
Yeah, or no,
Do you want to Google his, let's see what your
well,
own
yeah,
reaction.
I know you've mentioned him a few
I
times.
mean, do you know about him?
I know he's a cult guy of some kind.
Well, he was the link between Anton LaVey and Kinsey.
Yes, yes. Ooh, he's creepy.
That's him. So does that look familiar, that guy?
He looks like something out of a horror movie.
Yeah, keep scrolling down because
I'm a little revolted.
there, look at look at that tattoo. Everything Lucifer.
Oh, yeah. Here, let me put in here 1970s. Why, oh, here, wait. Oh, I could have known him later in life too.
Because Aleister Crowley and so Kenneth Anger like wanted to be an Aleister Crowley. That was like this protege.
Yeah.
He was a stupid low budget filmmaker. Um,
Yeah,
and
I
so
don't
it,
have
it was
any.
Kenneth Anger that got Anton LaVey apart in one of these movies. But Kenneth Anger was
Yeah, it was the
had a
sweet
man
love.
crush on Kinsey. So Kinsey and Kenneth Anger,
Ugh,
because I also think that Kenneth
I'll
Anger
tell you,
knew
I
that,
don't like look at his eyes are yellow.
yeah.
That indicates sickness, but it reminds me of that demon I saw with the yellow eyes.
So, anyways,
Yeah,
that's
I'm not, my parts are not, I mean, I'm just revolted from looking at him, period. But
okay.
I don't know that my parts are are
The
upset.
pictures I've seen are a little bit different, but anyways, I just want to throw out another connection because apparently Rockefeller Foundation CIA funded Kinsey. Kinsey was good friends with or had that fascination with Crowley. It may have been that through the CIA funded Crowley through Kinsey, and the reason why Kinsey goes out to the Abbey, there's a famous picture of Kinsey looking up at a picture. Kenneth Anger's to the right, showing him this portrait standing in the Abbey. And
Uh-huh.
so you have Crowley,
Oh, that Abbey
Kinsey.
too. It's disgusting. It's
Oh yeah,
a
no, that
shack with graffiti all over it. I'm like,
yeah.
what, how do you call that an Abbey?
Well, apparently at one point in time it had whitewashed walls. Then he put Crowley did. He had all sorts of murals of demonic stuff.
Yeah, yeah, they talked about that. I didn't watch much of it, but when
Okay.
I, you
But
know,
anyway, so that's kind of so you've got, and then Kinsey was connected to or got one of the Nazis to feed him information. So you've got the Crowley, um, let's see, Aleister Crowley, Kinsey, Kenneth Anger,
and the
Anton
Nazis.
LaVey kind of connection in there.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that Aleister Crowley then, or what Led Zeppelin, is that the group? One of them purchased um, the home. So
Oh,
Crowley gets kicked out of Italy, or either before or after. He purchases a home in England, out in the middle of kind of some space out in the countryside. And I think Led Zeppelin, one of
some
the
rock
guys,
band bought it. Yeah, I lived there or whatever.
yeah.
Took it over.
Okay, so that's anyways. I didn't know if any of that rung a bell.
Not really. I mean, outside of the video that I watched.
Okay,
It's
okay.
funny because Alan had a lot to say about Aleister Crowley, but when I did Anton LaVey, it was minimal. So I just focused on the Church of Satan because he mentioned that a little more. And I know LaVey was the Church of Set, but I kind of merged it all and changed the title.
Although let me ask you, because what I heard was um, LaVey started the Church of Satan. Church of Set was an offshoot, and Aquino
Yeah, Michael Aquino. Yeah.
really got into or took Church of Satan stuff to the next level. Aquino, from what I heard, Aquino thought that Church of Satan was too mild,
Yeah.
and so he
Alan
does the
didn't really mention that. Yeah.
okay.
I don't
Anyway,
think Alan went into it too deeply, except for the fact that both of them were intelligence officers in the psychological unit of the military. So,
I know Aquino was who else? LaVey
uh-huh. Yeah.
was an intelligence officer.
Yeah.
Oh, I
Thanks.
didn't know that.
Here, let me see. Maybe it was a keynote, but no, I think Oh
Again,
no.
I'm not questioning it. It's just that that would be new information for me.
Huh. No, maybe I'm mixing up the two in my head. Anti in military. No, I don't. I don't think so then. It's Aquino that I'm thinking of because I was doing both of them at the same time. But Alan was talking about that. It's always the military psychological unit that is a branch of they branch out and create these churches, satanic churches. And so if LaVey is an offshoot of Aquino, then it's still wrapped up in military intelligence, if
Okay,
you
that
think
makes
about
sense.
it.
Right.
So, and then a little time went by. Oh, yeah, I was laying there and I was thinking, well, Belle, what do you think about that dentist's office? Should we get rid of it? And she's like, oh, yeah. And I don't know what we blew it up with, but it blew up from the absolute center of the chair out into powder.
Really?
It was like just poof. And it took the entire building with it. And she was just very pleased. So then after we did that, oh, guess what comes up? So I'm also having the suspicion that Christine, my friend when I was new in, I should say junior high school,
Oh gosh.
and I was a plant. She was my handler. She came from a very old and well-established farm family in the area. They had been there for generations. When I dropped her as a friend, she did not seem to mind or be offended at all. And that's when I started working. It's almost as though she knew it was going to happen. And I always felt guilty all these years that I had treated her badly because I dropped her. And I put such bullshit. I realize now, no, she was in on it. Whether she had a front personality, was conscious or of it or not, I don't know. I don't remember the time I spent with her outside of school. I know that I went to her house and spent the night a few times. And I just had a huge shudder and shivers go through my neck and back as I dictated that. So I realized,
Oh,
okay, missing time, what's there?
yeah, yeah.
So I believe her family was in the cult, occult, I don't know, but somehow they had their own thing going on. I would go to her house and her father reinforced my programming. He also raped me in satanic rituals in his barn. My part is telling me that these rituals were not quite as barbaric as the ones from the past, but still awful. Just more of the same old bullshit is what my
But you
part.
guys moved to this completely separate location, but it's still
Yeah, that's where my mom's parents lived. Yeah, but they have their own cult shit going on in this town. Yeah.
unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Well, and even more so, actually, I think Nathan, oh, maybe this is what triggered part of these memories. Nathan, I don't know if this is past talk, I've watched like 4 or 5 of his now. He talked about Iowa once, and he says, "Oh yeah, they're big time, and they can hide out in farmhouses." And he was talking about chimeras and how the guy down the street that's got the farm with that weird little shack. That's what they keep in those shacks. And so I think it was allowing my part to go, oh, okay. And just all these little bits and pieces over time, just it bubbled up last night. Um,
So Nathan is saying that they've allowed
yeah, especially out in the country is where they can hide the best.
they've allowed these things to come out of the experiment
Where they
rooms.
catch them on purpose. Yeah, if you finish watching that, it's like the last half hour of that show. They go into that. I thought, oh, he's not going to be interested in Bigfoot shit because that's their, but it's not just Bigfoot they're talking about. It's all these weird, genetically modified creatures.
Yeah.
And Nathan also mentions he thinks that some of them are, the fallen ones from thousands of years ago that were crossbred with humans and they're still tinkering with it. Anyway, her dad was my stand-in handler until I got my first job. once I got my first job, my previous programming kicked in because my previous programming was always about going on a job, right? So up until then, I didn't have a real job. I had little jobs, albeit them horrendous. But so once I started working, I switched. And that's when I changed personality and I dropped her. I became moneymaker again. I became
Oh,
promiscuous, the sex slave. I started going to parties, the cult member. That gave Jack access to me along with the dentist office. Now, here's what I realized. Angie and Mary went to that same dentist for braces. And I said, it's no wonder their first job out of high school was in a meat packing plant. Did I tell
oh,
you that? Yeah, that was in my interview with
I
Melissa.
think you had referenced that, but I didn't connect it.
I did last night. I was like, why would they choose to drive for an hour to
Oh,
work in a meat packing plant? It was for the money, I think. So Rebel refused to work in a meat pack. So this is where I'm trying to figure out what to do with my life. I know high school's about to be
well,
over.
and I can only imagine then if you experienced what you experienced in Chicago, then what else was going on in that meatpacking plant?
Yeah. I mean, so Rebel refused to work in a meat packing plant. I just refused because they were encouraging me. Oh, you can make all this money. He knew what Eliza and Brianna went through. He did not want to go to work in the battery factory either. That's where my mom worked. The very thing that Dad used to torture Sophia and Poppy with, a
Yeah,
car battery.
yeah, yeah,
So I was like, I'm not going to either one of those. And those were the two best options for that area. Because I wasn't a farmer, or I could work at McDonald's for the rest of my life or whatever. So that's why Rebel and Ivy sabotaged the Air Force programming. And fortunately, I still joined the military. After I talked with Mom, I could not escape the programming. I think now maybe Mom did something. I remember we were sitting on the bed and I was crying because the Air Force doesn't want me and I'm a loser. I don't want to work at a meatpacking plant. I don't want to go to the battery factory, and I'm all boo-hooing. And where she sat down and she put her hand held my hand like this is how she holds my hand. But I also remember her putting her hand on my arm, not because I think she was programming me, but I think in her effort to comfort me, she triggered something. And that's when I realized she said something like, well, the Air Force isn't the only one there. And I went, oh, duh. I could join the Army or the Navy or the Marines. And that's when I went to find an Army recruiter. So yeah, so that's why I popped that in there. I thought, I think Mom inadvertently did something, or Mom was programmed to program me. But, again, why wouldn't that happen to Angie and Mary? Well, it validates the fact that I was separated and different, and we had different paths.
yeah.
So I could not escape the programming. I really thought that those years in Iowa were peaceful. They were not. I remember being very stressed out. I would drive and pull over on country roads and just stare out over the cornfields trying to relax. I would sit in my car and cry, but I couldn't. Someone always stopped to check on me.
Oh,
Always in these, empty country roads, somebody happened to be driving by and see me crying, and so they stopped to see if I was okay. And I believe those people were cult members checking on me. And I said, well, okay, who are you? And she said, my name's Corn, because we were looking at cornfields.
I was going to say that makes sense.
She's scared and lonely and anxious. She doesn't know which way to go. She's trapped no matter what direction.
Yeah.
So, Christine eventually married a boy named Dwayne Adams. They were both so meek, but Dwayne Adams' family was multi-generational farming family as
Oh, the
well.
Adams family.
Oh, great. I didn't even put that together. I'm sure they were both very good cult members, sunshiny front personalities. They were white as snow. When I was at her house, her dad would come and get me out of her room in the middle of the night. And I think he would say, Christine, you stay here. Or whatever part he called her. Chrissy, I think. Chrissy, you stay here. When we camped out in the living room, he would come get me from there. He would leave her. He would take me out to the barn and rape me. I'm going to
Gosh.
put that in here. He would say, Chrissy stay here. So I believe she was also abused. It just dawned on me that that's also when I was having nightmares and screaming at night at home in bed. So that was Scream, who turned into Susie. So Susie's piping in, oh yeah, I would go home and scream about it. I'd have nightmares. My mom kept telling me that everything was okay. It's just a nightmare. I can forget all about that stuff. That stuff, you know. I don't know if she put an emphasis on it, but I certainly hear it in my head. Because that's exactly what she was trying to do. She was able to do it because she was so busy working and supporting us. That's how she was able to suppress her stuff, was by being so overwhelmed and busy. I remember all those years in our house, it was constant arguing between all four of us. We would just be always yelling at each other, John. All of us were trying to forget. I wonder what Angie and Mary went through, if their friends were handlers too. Because, and I mentioned that to Angie a few years ago. I said, oh, that's probably why we used to yell and scream at each other all the time. She whipped her head around like this. She goes, what are you talking about? So you don't remember in Iowa, we were always all screaming at each other all the time. No, we didn't. I just dropped it. I was like, okay, don't even remember that. There were three other men in that barn plus her dad. They did wear robes, but their hoods were down. There were no real elaborate ceremonies, but they did read out of a book. I think they were low-level cult. They each took their turn with me, and then I would be taken back in the house. They would slap each other in back and say, see you tomorrow, chuckling and winks. Don't let the wife and kids know. So Kitten and Kevin handled all of that. Sarah kept, because Sarah handled the ritual stuff, kept worrying that there would be new rituals. Sarah and Tallulah. Tallulah was Athena that got married in that ritual. Kept worrying. I knew there was someone else, but anyway. But there never were. So that was a relief, she says. They did have creepy things hanging on the ceilings and walls. They had skulls of the different animals they had killed, and they had hides hanging. In the dim firelight, they would cast very odd shadows. I believe there were demonic spirits hanging around, but I don't think these guys were able to access them in the professional way that I had seen in the past. It's like they were playing at being Satanists, and the demons were just waiting for them to go to the next step. They would swoop all around all over, but never really enter anyone. They were just happy to have a plaything, me. And that was, I was referring to the men, but as I'm reading this, I'm wondering if it wasn't the demons that were, I was their plaything. I don't know. So it wasn't just the first 11 years of my life. It was my whole life until I met Chris. I'm just wondering if I didn't go out. And so this is where I'm starting to wonder about other stuff now. If I didn't go out to some killing jobs and I don't remember them. Nathan Reynolds talks about waking up and having body parts in your car. I have a recollection of a blood on my clothes and throwing them away in my apartment in Canoga Park. Now, I literally went out to the dumpster and threw them away. That's when I had a neighbor that raped me. Then Finn and Jonathan put a knife on him and he moved out really quickly. Remember that? They were active. Those two killer parts were active at that time period. That blew me away. When I lived there, I did not have much money at all. And when I got bored, I would go to the shopping malls and just walk around and window shop. I could do that for 2 or 3 hours. I did that 3 or 4 times. And I thought, well, perhaps I was going there to do a job. And then I had shudders again.
Oh,
I just had pain in my, right now, pain in my ovaries in that area. I don't know if it's my ovaries per se, but it's those organs. And more right now, a lot more. And then I got the image, I have an image of someone kicking me there with a boot on, sliced his arm up and then killed him. So John, I'm like in my 30s here. That was really hard to swallow. I mean, I did swallow it, but I'm like, holy shit. Because I think I remember that because Carrie Elahi was talking about when she was at a certain age, and she thought she was out and she wasn't. So Finnegan is telling me that he had Kitten seduce a man and led him to a hallway or walkway that was dimly lit, no people there. That's when he came out and knifed a man in the kidneys. He dropped. Then he plunged the knife in the hurt under the rib cage. And Chris showed me this move a couple of weeks ago. Then he dropped the knife in a dumpster, got in my car, and Sarge drove home. When we got home, we saw blood on our jacket. Moneymaker, because we don't have money to buy more. We can't throw this away. Money's like, fuck it. We gotta it go, Sarge is like, it's gotta go. The moneymaker tried to wash it off, but it would not come off. Sarge walked it out to the dumpster. Then we went to sleep and woke up amnesiac or with amnesia. And so I was a sleeper cell. I do not know who the man was. I was able to picture a time and a location.
Oh,
And this is what's funny is I'm sitting on the toilet doing this, right? And I'd write an entry and you see the space. So I'd put the phone on the floor. And as soon as I did that, then I'd pick it up. But it's like I had to put the phone down in order to get the next thing. And then it was weird. After that, I burned them. I remember in Hollywood with Scientology walking through the city during the day. I had only very cheap clothes. There was a van that followed me. That tried to get me to go in the van. I did not even acknowledge them because I knew they were low-level perpetrators. I knew better. I knew. I walked faster and finally got back to the church. So again, I put the phone down. The mailed package contained a knife as well. It would, because I'm thinking I didn't own an assassin's knife. I had butcher knives at home and not butcher knives, but a rack of knives. It would say, you know who I am? Yes. So it was Jack. That's what Jack said to me in the dentist chair. You know who I am? Yes. So I'd get a package and it would say, it would have the weapon, it would have a picture, time, location, and this note, you know who I am? Yes. And it's like it's a question, but not a question.
yeah. Well, it's like, here's your next assignment.
Yeah. And then I set the phone down again, going, oh my God, are you kidding? And then I get more dictating. I killed another man in a hotel bathroom. I'm having this image. He was bent over adjusting the faucet for the tub, like filling it up. We were going to take a bath together or something. I came in behind him and sliced his throat from behind. He fell into the tub. I left. Sarge got rid of the weapon, drove home, put us to bed, woke up amnesiac. Another time, the package had a loaded syringe. I walked past the person in broad daylight in a very crowded place, injected him, I think in the ass or the thigh, and walked on, tossed it in the nearest trash can, went home. A picture, a time, a location, along with a weapon in the mail. Sarge disposed of it all. And then when I'm thinking it's all done, things are calming down, maybe 5 minutes go by, I lay down in bed and I'm like, oh, okay, good, maybe I can sleep now. All of a sudden in my head, the clearest, loudest voice, so someone was standing right next to me, John, said, 84 secrets. And I thought, dear God, I hope that does not mean what I think it means, that I killed 84 people as an adult. I was just, and then I fell asleep with that. I was like, oh my God. So it's morning, and I'm thinking, did I kill 84 people randomly like that, or is that a code phrase? Plus, I put on the black and white dress today. I don't know why that was relevant. And then hours later, I realized it's got a lily on it, which is the Mindfoul program. Is that how you spell Lily? I don't even know. No, okay. Oh, yeah. So obviously it's the next morning. I already wrote that. So this must be two different parts. I was just reading this and looked at the 84 secrets, wondering what that is. And it suddenly dawned on me. Himmler's Castle in 84, it was a code word. And it wasn't until I went out watering, I realized, no, I went to Germany in 84. And then I also realized that there is the book 1984. So I don't know. what that means, 84 secrets.
Diana, when you were receiving these knives and the packages, and where were you when you were receiving these in the mail?
I was thinking, which is just north of
Yeah.
the valley. I was working at Best Buy. I was a supervisor. I was there for about a year, year and a half. I got promoted and they sent me up here to, which ironically, John, I'm less than 5 miles from the military industrial complex up here. I'm right next to Lockheed, Hughes, I think a offshoot of Boeing. When I drive to the store, I drive past them all the time. And that's where I used to rollerblade around that big Boeing
Yeah.
place because I had 12 miles of unbroken sidewalk. And or I think it was 10 miles. So I think yeah, I don't know. I think they put me up here to keep an eye on me. But I was thinking, okay, well, did I do anything up here before I met Chris? Because I didn't meet Chris for like 4 years. And I'm going, uh, scanning through the whole time period. No, there's no missing time. So I wonder if they just used me for that brief time down in, because where I lived was near like an industrial area. And maybe there was like maybe industrial espionage going on, and one guy wanted to off another guy and paid to hire me or something. Because they had my neighbor living next to me who raped me. But it was when Finn and John put knives to his neck that he peed his pants and he moved out like the next day. So he was my handler, was my neighbor. I wasn't friends with him. I didn't know him. We would, pass each other, oh, hi, whatever, but nothing more than that until he raped me. So I think he was placed there. And I keep having this suspicion that there was a hole in the wall or a camera or something, and that's how he kept an eye on me.
Oh, which would make sense if he's right next door.
Well, and it was a studio apartment, so you could
Okay.
see the whole thing except the bathroom. He had a bird's eye view onto my bed, the way it was positioned.
Yeah.
So I think maybe they thought, well, okay, she's out of the army now. Let's use her for some stuff here, make a little money for somebody. And then they transferred me up here and, the military industrial complex could keep an eye on me, but I don't think they used me while I was up here. I mean, I was at Best Buy selling technology. I think they just calmed me down again because I didn't choose where I got my promoted to.
It's unrelated. I'm staring at the word 84 secrets. Isn't there 84 lumber?
What do you mean?
I think there's a company called 84 lumber.
Oh, we used to have a
I could
lumber.
never figure out why they called it 84. I just now came to mind.
Oh, yeah. Maybe 84 is code for something, kind of
I
like.
always thought, what is 84? So I don't know, unrelated, but
Well, I know that the book 1984, they said that they named it that because it was written in 1948. And, Orwell wanted to call the book The Last Man, meaning the last sentient man. But his publisher didn't like that. And so it said, well, it's 1948, let's call it 1984, because it's about the future, which would have been, almost 40 years later.
yeah,
But I wonder if that was just a bullshit reason too, and 84 means something else. Because the number 8 is the symbol of infinity, and Satanists like that. They turn it sideways. And it's
yeah.
also kind of reminiscent of the Ouroboros twisted on itself like a snake. And the 4, I know in numerology, 4 stands for stability and whatever, but there's deeper meanings. So I don't know, maybe 84, but I don't know what 84 Secrets means, but it was just like somebody, I don't know whose
All
voice
right.
it was. I don't know if it was a part, but it was like just standing right next to me and said it, but I heard it in my head.
It's got to be something, obviously. So if it's
Yeah.
that clear.
But I thought, well, 1984 was when I just got to Germany in the spring of 84. That was the first thing that popped in my head was Himmler's Castle. So maybe someone used that as a code word to trigger me to go do stuff. But yeah, I was like 30. I didn't meet Krista, I was 39. So that would be 4, 5, 6.
Hmm.
Yeah, it'd be like, no, I met Chris in 2004. So that, yeah, that would have been like 98 or something that I was, it was the same time Columbine happened. I remember being in that apartment watching it on TV and feeling anxious. So, oh geez, I gotta feed the dog.
Okay, you feed the dog. I'll just kind of muse out loud here. You can hear me?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so then by the idea or the concept or idea of sleeper cells, so this is what we're talking about, that you've got people
Well,
that
and yeah, if you listen to Nathan's talk, he'll talk about, because the interviewer asked him, well, these sleeper cells, are these all these ex-military guys? And Nathan goes, no, they're soccer moms. And the guy's like, what? It's like, no, they're soccer moms. And that's when it hit me. Well, that would be like me. Someone with SRA and MK Ultra programming, who when the time is right, they're given codes and then they go out and cause chaos. Nathan talks about, he said, they could just be programmed to just go into an office, distract the owner, steal a file, and walk out. And that's all they do. He said, or they could be programmed to throw a chain on an electric wire and blow that part of the grid for hours so somebody can go do something else. He said they're soccer moms. That's who the sleeper cells are. I was like, well, shit, that's me. That's Carrie Elahe. That's all of us. He said, because it's mostly, I don't think he said this. I think, oh, I listened to Colin Ross. I listened
did
to
you?
like 4 of his videos last night where he's being interviewed by someone. And he talked about, oh, geez. Oh, yeah, that the percentage of people that he saw with SRA and MK Ultra, and he was going into percentages and stuff. He says, of all the people with trauma, probably 10% have SRA. And then he broke that even down more to even like a finer percentage of, I think 1% have such and such. I forget, maybe it was added MK Ultra, I don't remember right now, but and I thought, well, that's all of us. We're the sleeper cells that were programmed to, like Carrie Elahe will talk about the New World Order programming and stuff like that. Well, when it's time for shit to hit the fan, all of us will rise up at once and have sabotage go on for 3 or 4 days and take a whole city down. Nathan said, he said, just stop the trash pickup for a month. He said, you'll see how quickly a city breaks down. That one interview, he packs a lot in there. So yeah, but yeah, that's who the sleeper cells are. I mean, granted, I'm sure there's terrorist sleeper cells too from overseas or whatever, but he said he was talking about how to take down the United States. He said, really, if you think about it, it's a nightmare logistically. It's too big. It's too this, it's too that. He said, so they decided a long time ago to take it down from within. And so that's where all these programming of these children came from. And he didn't say this, but I'm just extrapolating that out to the world. You could take the world down from within. Every country, the people within it will destroy it, cause chaos, and then the new Messiah will rise up and make it all right again because, there's such chaos. A strong man's got to come in and, put things right. And that'll be the Antichrist or whatever. When he said it, I thought that makes sense. If we were a country the size of, Rhode Island or, Germany or whatever, it'd be easier to, a force coming from the outside in. But we're the United States, we're huge. Russia's huge, China's huge. You do it from within. Just have sleeper cells hanging around. He said that's what all these movies are out there on television, the Jason Bourne. He said that's exactly what's going on with Jason Bourne. He wakes up in the middle of a mission. He doesn't know what the hell's going on. He said that was to trigger people. And there's all these other spy movies and stuff like that going on. And it's interesting because I'm somewhat attracted to those kind of movies with women. The TV show Alias came out. There's a spy woman, every single episode, she's another personality with a whole different wig and makeup and clothes in a different country and going off and doing stuff. And it's usually killing somebody. And I realize now that's what I did. I didn't go off to other countries, but I did jobs. And I dressed differently. I have a memory. I didn't write it down, but I'm glad we're talking about it, that I pulled my hair back in such a way like they did when I was a little girl to make me look more like a boy. And I dressed like a boy. And a lot of my life I dressed like I have 3 pair of shorts in my closet that are men's shorts because they're more comfortable than women's shorts. Those cargo pants shorts. So I'm like, I got the clothes. I could look like a man. Do the right makeup or whatever, but I don't wear makeup now, so I have it. And I keep thinking, this makeup is 15 to 20 years old. Just throw it away. But I don't. Why don't I? It's bad for you. That stuff goes bad. I'm going to throw it away today now that I think about it.
See, I'm glad our session could be
Well, it's
practical.
eyeshadow, and eyeliner and mascara, the eye makeup stuff I don't use. I mean, I could, but it would, wind up screwing it up from scratching it all the time. So, oh, maybe that's why God gave me the eye condition so I couldn't disguise myself anymore. There's a thought. Wow. Because you'd have to make your eyebrows look all bushy, and I'm just realizing this right now. Wow.
Oh. Well, I do think one of the connections you made is very powerful about how your grandmother tried to suggest you won't see anything.
Oh, yeah, that too. So many different things with my eyes through my life. The blindfold of leather that left all that crap, and yeah,
This,
fascinating.
I at times try to, not at times, I mean, oftentimes, but, for me to try to imagine what you're going through, Diana, right? Just trying to,
Well, I'm just blown away. I'm not a basket case remembering all this.
yeah, yeah.
I'm just really blown away. And I think it's because I watch so many different interviews of so many different people. I mean, I try to focus on the ones that like Carrie and Nathan, and then I'll sprinkle in an oddball one here or there. But generally those oddball ones wind up being some dipshit with hypnosis or going to another planet and walking past healing stones and, or they teach yoga. And I'm like, well, you're still in the cult. And they don't even know it. So yeah, it's like God has orchestrated this all perfectly. Huh. Yeah. Well, you know what? I've decided that when I get to the point in my journals where you and I start working, I am going to put our sessions up because I won't have a journal to read from anymore. And I'm going to cut out the parts that where we talk about Chris and just edit the parts out of our sessions if you're okay with that. I mean,
I'm fine.
because I want people to know how much you've helped me. And that, oh, it was your idea to do a timeline. It was your idea to do this. And oh, well, I decided to do it this way. And oh, and he suggest, you know what I mean? The tools. I want them to see the tools and the development of it and how organic it was and the collaboration between us. And that you're not just screwing around, you know what I mean? And so I really want to do that if you're comfortable with it.
I'm totally comfortable with it.
It's
Black.
gonna be probably, I don't know, probably 2 more months or something
Okay,
before we even
that'll
get
probably
to
be.
that, because I'm in book 2, and you and I don't meet until book 4, so I'm thinking 4, 6, 8 weeks from now. Yeah, I'm like kind of horrified that I'm killing people in my 30s. I'm like
Well,
gobsmacked.
it's super invaluable.
Well,
Everything.
and Carrie had the same reaction when she remembered her thing in Paris. She's like, how do you even digest that?
And
But I
if
mean,
what,
it's kind of along the same lines as any part that you remember. It's just wow.
yeah.
And I keep thinking, because Chris doesn't know any of this, just a little tiny bit that I told him. And
Well, you're doing frontline stuff, and as you're letting the memories come up and the stuff you're recalling now, I mean, it's such much more, not that it wasn't at the beginning, but it makes sense.
yeah, and
As
there's
you
some,
break through these different levels, pardon the pun, but not just with the parts, but really the meaning and the implications that the
well, and I
stuff.
realized too, as I remember those 2 parts from book 1 of my handwritten journals, and then these guys, as I plugged them into my maps and stuff, 4 different parts changed their intensity levels from what I thought was like maybe a -2 or a 2 down to like 4s and 6s. So there's things are clearing up as I go.
There you
And if
go.
you don't have those charts and maps and to keep track of that, it's like, you know, I mean, I don't know. I suppose their intensity level is their intensity level, but the more you dig, the more you realize, oh, something that I thought was superficial is really much deeper.
There you go.
So, but yeah,
Well, you're doing it for yourself. That's exactly what this is all about. But
yeah.
Lord's going to use this. So you're blazing a trail. And I can tell you just from my work with folks that you're in the elite squad. I want you to know that.
Well,
So
I
you're
remember you always tell me that. Thank you. And that's what I think that's what's led me to want to put our sessions up, because I have realizations as we talk. And it's not just that, but I want them to see the charts and the graphs, and you're like, oh, overlay this and overlay that. And then once it's done, I go, oh, duh, so I think it's important for people to see the evolution of it
right.
and not just talk about it.
Well, and how much work, right? There's a direct correlation between how much work you're putting
When I
into
keep thinking by the time they get on the air, I need to create these documents blank with, locked cells so that we can offer them to people, and all they have to do is plug in the information and not have to fart around with actually figuring out how to make a graph on Excel and where's this and where's that, so it's just there and they can utilize it.
Well, as you know, though, there'd be plenty you could be doing to keep yourself from this work. So you're,
Oh, sure. I mean, yeah. Anyway, yeah, I
so
should let you go.
you're facing it. Okay, well, let me pray. How's that?
Okay, great.
Okay. Thank you once again. Diana and I can work together, and Lord, thank you for always being in the midst of our sessions. That's the most important thing. We don't need man's wisdom. Lord, ultimately, Diana needs your wisdom to be able to sift through, figure out what is or isn't true. Lord, thank you for how we have been made, how you made us. That there's different layers to us and different levels, and that when we're dealing with loss, let alone horror from evil, that you can help little by little, help the dots connect and the healing at different levels take place. So continue guiding and overseeing and supervising the process so that Diana gets continued insight, but also to be able to process what she's seeing and what she's experiencing. I thank you that you are faithful, that you who start the good work in us, that you will see it through to completion. So be with her as she is continuing to work on all these different documents, all the different parts. I thank you that they are willing to step forward now and to unburden themselves, to offload this information that they were so good enough to carry over all these years. I will just continue to trust that you will be doing your deep work in Diana as she is doing this deep work. And we do pray for Chris. Give him wisdom, give him insight as he is doing all the different, so he has all that responsibility and all the different tasks, but continue to soften his heart, continue to work on him so that ultimately he too can unburden himself from the different things that he's experienced. So we'll continue to trust that you're going to continue your work softening his heart. So thank you for that. In Jesus' name.
Amen. Thank you. All right.
Okay.
Well,
Well,
it's
excellent
Friday.
work. Excellent
Have a-
work.
Thanks. You too.
Okay. And
Have a
we'll,
great weekend.
there you go. And as stuff comes up, send it over. It's very helpful.
I will.
There you
Okay.
go.
Okay,
Okay. You have a
bye.
good rest of the day.
Okay, bye.
Okay.